think we did a break too much before, but in race it was okay when you have fast speed. It goes like only 5 seconds.
And so we are very quickly on to Heat 2. Eric Perrot going in this one. What a season he had. As we look very briefly down the start list. Who catches your eye in this one, Scott?
Martin Oldal. He's just so fast, and he shoots so incredibly fast. We've all seen the reels and the TikToks and the shorts. He can get a first shot down in sub 7 seconds, and that's crazy. It's definitely going to be hard to do that under this intensity, but I've said that before, and he's managed it under incredible physical intensities and got the targets down. So I think he's one of my favorites, but next to Eric Perrot, it's going to be a challenge.
So Sweden already have one man in the final. Can Jesper Nälin make it too? To the side of him, his compatriot, Martin Ponsiluoma. Struggled through last season. The 30-year-old did manage to end on somewhat of a high just before the break with the podium in the short individual in Pokluka. Finishing third. Eric Perrot, though, what a season he had. Third overall, still only 24 years old. He is the future of this sport. Solo world champion as well for the first time in Lenzerheide in the individual. Taking bronze in the pursuit as well. And when you talk about futures of the sport, Martin Oldal bursting onto the scene last season at senior level. And well, those pink poles of his have become quite iconic. What a battle we have in store for us, we hope, between the two who are side by side at the front. Eric Perrot shone at the early part of last season, along with a lot of the French team, with the way that they were able to come onto the World Cup circuit with such precision in their shooting. And I'm sure this year there will be maybe the odd Guinness World Record in terms of quickest time for a first shot. That may end up going Martin Oldal's way.
Yeah,
certainly got officially signed off last season.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so unexpected to be able to take the rifle off your back, get into position, load a magazine, all of those factors combined, and then to hit the target in less than 10 seconds is impressive, let alone less than 7.
We speak a lot, of course, around their retirement of how the Boer brothers shaped the sport. And Martin Oldal already leaving his mark at very early stages of his career. And so we're away in Heat 2 for the men in the Loop 1 Festival. Eric Perrot and Martin Oldal side by side. Just tucked in behind them is Martin Ponsiluoma, and Jesper Nälin has made a good start as well, wearing bib number 19. In comparison, Scott, though, to the first of our heats, we haven't got someone jumping off the front. Maybe lessons learnt from Heat 1.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the strategic benefit would be of going super fast at the start. Of course, there is a very sharp left-hander, and it is very narrow, so you do want to be clear of any trouble, particularly ahead of an Olympic season. You don't want to be having a fall now. Even getting a bad graze would be really inconvenient. But perhaps it's this corner right here where the advantage of having a much more spread out field really comes into play.
It is a really tight bend there, and of course then goes into this narrow section with the advertising boards and the barriers on each side. As they come round for their first loop of the lake. 3 laps, 2 shooting stages. Starting in prone, following up by the standing.
Matthew Chronicle there at the back, just clinging on to the back of the field. And Oldal so comfortable and relaxed up there at the front, leading what seems to be a very controlled pace. And I would say controlled is the word that I would use for Oldal and Perrot. Both of them are so disciplined, so focused. And when it comes to their shooting routine, it's rigid. They are very consistent. They do the same thing every time, and when it works, it works very, very effectively.
I remember reading some excellent articles, or interviews with the French coaching staff on the shooting side, saying their key aims going into the Olympic cycle was to improve on the shooting, make that accuracy as consistent as possible. And we saw, of course, through last season just how good they can be. So this is the 1 kilometre checkpoint that the athletes are coming up to now. Martin Uldal will be the first to break the line, with Eric Perrot just tucked in behind him. Within a second back is Jesper Nylén Longer of Belgium, the 33-year-old who had 3 top 15 finishes on the World Cup last season, including a top 10 in the short individual in Kontiolahti. He's just trailing. But all still tightly bunched together, all within 5 seconds. The 14 going in this field. And great, as you mentioned the name of Matthew Chronicle, of course, Scott, to see so many of the smaller nations represented across the board in these heats and on the women's side as well. Yeah, and
a testament to the biathlon family ethos that is always talked about and always followed through on by the IBU, managing to support smaller nations, bring them up, and really foster this culture of mutual support, and it works. You've managed to gain, or the IBU has managed to get such a fantastic field of biathletes from across the board here, and that will only continue to grow the sport as the years go by.
Greece, Australia, Great Britain, Brazil, amongst those nations represented here at Loop 1 Festival. And into shooting one we go. Back in the range as the crowds build behind. 6 seconds, just over the 14 in this field. Separated by, as they drop down into the prone position, it's quickly down into the position for Eric Perrot. Taking his time. Misfoot, double answer. And that's with 2 from 2. Kutchmara as well. Thierry Longer has gone 3 from 3. Eric Perrot is perfect, 5 from 5. It's a miss for Uldal. And once again, this pack has been shaken up. And Uldal will be once around the penalty loop.
Oh, fantastic shooting there from Matthew Chronicle, 5 for 5. That's absolutely excellent from the Brit. And now this was a slower heat than the previous, 9 seconds down in terms of the speed to the first shoot.
And that, of course, will all be fed back to the athletes, and particularly for those who are just outside the top 3. Eric Perrot leads the way as they come out of shooting one. Kutchmar in second, just half a second behind the Frenchman, the leader. Vidmar of Slovenia coming out 5.4 seconds behind, but with perfect shooting. And Didier Bionats, the other man who shot clean, alongside Matthew Chronicle, of course, as well.
You can see Perrot there, his left eye just shutting very briefly before he pulls the trigger.
So Martin Uldal, 15.2 seconds down. How does he need to approach this second lap now, Scott, because he cannot hold back?
Well, I would say that with 15 seconds down, it is possible for Uldal to claim back a whole 7 seconds in shooting alone, but he has to hit the targets, and of course that's not a given by any stretch. But assuming he is able to hit the targets, he is able to claim back 7 of those just from the shooting, and the remaining would have to come from a very quick final lap, indeed, and relying on some of the others to miss at this point.
Well, just saw there, it's great that we're getting the graphics of the target. Of course, that new for this season, and there is an app that was advertised, of course, yesterday. If you head over to the Biathlonworld Instagram, advertised by Nicholas Hartvig, that you can watch along with the shooting and the targets on your phone, and we will, of course, bring you a glimpse of those once the athletes leave shooting. But it was a very lucky second shot for Didier Bionats, just sneaking in and tripping the target. So this is now, as they come towards it, with Eric Perrot leading, wearing bib number 16, the 2.8 kilometre mark.
And Perrot will be very relaxed, very controlled, and I suspect we'll see a very consistent rhythm between every single shot in the stand-shoot visit to this race.
Kutchmar still keeping good pace. He's actually just gained a fraction of a second. Of course, the Olympic silver medalist in the sprint in 2018. He has an excellent record in these shorter formats.
Uldal dropping to 17 seconds, losing time as opposed to gaining.
great to see the support already building around the course here in Munich. The only ticketed section of the course is the main stand behind the range. Everywhere else is accessible to members of the public. All the way down and watch biathlon right on their doorstep, and bringing it to the people of Munich as we come into the range for the second time. Klitschmar leading, and it's Eric Perrot who is just slowed slightly. Allowed the Czech athlete through to come into the standing chute.
This is what they've been doing all summer long, preparing on roller skis, coming into the range with a very high heart rate. And now they have the introduction of severe pressure as Perrot manages to get his first shot down but misses the second. The third goes high left for Perrot, and he misses the final shot. Not a good day for Klitschmar either, now missing 3 shots. And Bayanas, he manages to get his first down, fails to get the second. And so far, there are no clear shooters, with Ponsaloma now potentially seizing the opportunity but failing, with Langer the first to go 5 for 5.
Well, Thierry Longer taking advantage of those ahead of him falling. A miss for Martin Oldal as well. And it is the Belgian Thierry Longer who will make his way out of shooting 2 and around the final lap in the lead. Perrot with 2 drop shots does trail, but only by 3.9 seconds, with now Anton Vidmar of Slovenia up into 3rd. Martin Oldal, well, he's not too far behind. He has work to do, though, if he's to secure his place in the final in the top 3.
Yeah, and Vidmar, he's going to have to get tucked right in behind Perrot and really take advantage of the slipstream, because he does not have the pace on the roller skis as Perrot does.
Well, just as we were talking about in that first heat, Scott, how important accuracy is. And that was a real show of how everything can change. He had a little bit of luck with his 4th shot, just on the side Thierry Longer, but missing 1 in his first shoot, clean in his second, and now leading the way in the second heat of the Loop 1 Festival here in Munich.
Absolutely, and Oldal, he actually didn't shoot as fast as I had anticipated. He's currently 4th fastest, with Perrot being the fastest, and that's with 17 seconds. But Oldal, 20 seconds for his shoot, but it was an accurate shoot, and it got him back into 4th place. So in with a chance of closing the gap and potentially either getting a lucky loser or getting up there and getting past Vidmar for a spot in the top 3.
When you look at the rate in which Anton Vidmar has found his way onto the back of our front 3, and as the shot widens there, we still cannot see Martin Oldal. And just how short these laps are, 1.8 kilometers. There is, with every push, the increasing possibility that Martin Oldal will fall outside of the top 3 here.
Well, Perrot there sensing that the pace at the front just wasn't quite fast enough, deciding to get ahead of Langer, who has done a really fantastic job up till this point. But Perrot really asserting the dominance of the top 3 and keeping the gap between them as a trio and the hungrily chasing Oldal, currently in 4th.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to make much of a dent into the time of those ahead of him. Shaving off 0.9 of a second, but it won't be enough with just 400 meters to go. And it will be Martin Oldal who will fall out of the top 3. And we'll have to wait and see, but Scott already mentioned it wasn't the fastest first lap in comparison to the first heat that got underway. And with now Eric Perrot trying to push the pace a little bit more on this 3rd and final lap, you do fear, I think you have to wait for confirmation of the times at the end, that this wasn't quite as quick as the first heat.
Yeah, 10:35 is the time after at the 4.6. That was from Sipola, and here we have 10:55. So it's not actually as far apart as I had anticipated, but still, there is a significant gap.
And with only 3 lucky loser positions, the gap needs to be as small as possible. So Eric Perrot, Anton Widmer and Thierry Longer across the line. And this event, with just 2 heats in, already throwing up surprises. No one clean shooting in heat 2. A slightly slower heat. It's a huge amount in it, but it does mean that it is advantage heat 1 in the race for lucky loser, with Martin Oldal of Norway finishing 8.1 seconds behind that time of Eric Perrot.
Quite an incredible performance there from Matthew Chronicle, 38.1 seconds behind, and that's with 1 miss, so a great job there from the Brit.
He spent a lot of time this summer training at altitude and has been collecting athletes to train with across along the road, including a group from the IBU Cup coming over to train with him in France, Norwegian youngsters, and I think, having spoken to him this week, that he's enjoyed having so many different nationalities to train around. They'll give different perspectives, and particularly when you come from a smaller nation, it's important to use those connections as and when you can.
Yeah, take advantage of every opportunity, and I think that's really the culture among the lower nations. They're given a lot of opportunities, they take them and they reap the benefits from them.
So here's a look back at the start with Martin Oldal deciding to lead it out, but it wasn't the flying start that we saw from Fabien Claude, but still falling outside of the top 3. A slower first lap, but a real lack of clean shooting. 2 misses for Eric Perrot. It was a disastrous final shoot from the man who was just trailing him and doing so well. Klitschmar of Czechia. And such a great record in these shorter, sharper races. Unable to make his results stick, though, with a disaster in the final shooting. And a nod of the head, raise of the fist from Eric Perrot, safely through to this afternoon's final, with Anton Widmer and Thierry Longer heat 2 to join him from heat 2. Well, we've seen 2 very different races already. And that's our final athlete from heat 2, rolls across the line and challenges today out on the course for Todev of Bulgaria.
Bit of a surprising length of time behind, and I think with 2 misses we can expect there to have been something wrong for that gap to have opened up.
So here's confirmation of the results from heat 2 of the Super Sprint qualification here at the Loop 1 Biathlon Opening Festival in Munich. Eric Perrot, Anton Widmer and Thierry Longer through to the final automatically. We will have to wait and see when the official times then become published. If Martin Oldal was able to find enough on the final lap. 2 more qualifying heats for the men to go.